start by introducing ourselves. I'm Jason Oakley. Nice to meet everyone. And this is Tiffany Hsia. I'm from a company called DemoDash. We're an agency. We help Nevada customers build interactive demos. And Tiffany, would you like to introduce yourself, Tiffany?
I'd love to. I'm Tiffany. I'm from the demand gen team at Notion.
So for this presentation, we actually worked together. So we started working with the Notion team over the last year to help them build their interactive demos. And so, yeah, when Natalie said we could come and present, we thought it'd be cool to do a bit of a co-presentation about how we work together. Most of this, though, Tiffany's going to be the star of this, talking about all the cool things they do at Notion. So think of this as just like Notion's playbook for how they use interactive demos, how they create them, the process that they use, how they measure success, all those things. Pretty simple agenda. We'll talk a little bit about why Notion started, the problem that they were trying to solve, and why they started using Nevada and why we started working with them. How they build demos, so how we work with Notion to build out their interactive demos, the process we go through. Give you some ideas for how to distribute your demos. That's one of the big things that comes up quite a bit. How do we get demos out in front of our audience? So we'll talk about how they do it and then how they measure success. So let's hand it over to Tiffany. There you go.
So I wouldn't call it a problem, but it's more of our challenge. We call ourselves like a second brain. I would say we pitch ourselves as a connected workspace where we connect knowledge, workflows, AI in a flexible tool. So you can build your documents, your projects, your wikis. I mean, you guys all know it, but we're focusing on like more the B2B, the team use cases. In this case, we're a very horizontal product. That is also our challenge, is trying to show folks like what Notion is and what it can do. It's hard to just describe that in one sentence. This is just an example of all the use cases for all the personas that we fit. And this is like straight from our pitch deck. And so it's hard to tell someone like exactly what Notion is. And so that's where the interactive demos really came in as our solution to our challenge. And we started building these interactive demos to show Notion in action versus telling or describing it. And as Jason mentioned, he came on, him and the DemoDash team, him and Eric here. It's me and Holly, my PMM partner. We came on to like build out these use cases in Nevada. Is there anything you want to add?
No, all I would say is that Holly and Tiffany are both amazing when it comes to building out interactive demos. We started working with them. Honestly, it was pretty awesome for us to be able to work with their team. But I think like what you said about it's very horizontal. I think for interactive demos, it's almost the perfect product for it because it is like you had said, it's like Lego. You know, you could sell people Lego. It's easy to see and know what Lego are, but you really don't understand the value of them until you see what they can build. And so I think with Notion, it's really giving people a sense of, hey, here's what you can do with this product. And so that's why it's been really fun to work on these demos. And while that's also why I think they're starting to become a bit like more of your go-to-market, more of your sales process and the content that they're sharing. So let's talk a bit about how we do it. Okay, so what we're going to cover now is three things. So how we build interactive demos, how they're distributed, and how they're measured. Okay, so when we work with Notion, like together, how we build out these interactive demos, think of it as kind of 4 stages. The first is the strategy stage. So we sit down with Notion and together, Tiffany, Holly, myself, and Eric, we talk about kind of 3 things. Goals of the demo. So for each interactive demo that we build, we talk about what's the purpose of it. And so even just a conversation at the table there are a lot of different goals of an interactive demo. It could be to help during the sales process. It could be to where you already have a lead in the pipeline and you're trying to get them to convert. Maybe it's to help them sell internally. It could be to get someone to convert to a free trial. It could be to get someone to sign up for an in-person demo. So there's all kinds of different goals that you might have for a demo, and it's good to be specific about one. And so we like to decide on that because that's going to definitely dictate the CTA that we have in the demo, but ultimately what we're trying to do. Then we talk about the audience. So especially for a horizontal company, audience is a big one. So say, for example, with PRDs, we're focused on product managers, for example, whereas when we're thinking about enterprise search, it might be a very different persona. So we're talking about that. And then distribution too. So obviously we want to know where this demo is going to be used. So is it going to be used in your demo center? Is it going to be used in a nurture campaign? Is it going to be used by sales? And that actually will then also change how we might want to end the demo, what types of CTAs we might have at the end, and how we want to cross-link demos, things like that. So that's the strategy side that we talk about. And then we talk about messaging. So for us, when we're building an interactive demo, we always like to have a simple video. So I talked about dictating there. Right before we start working on a demo, it is walk me through it in 5 minutes, whether it's a product manager, a salesperson. I like to get a sense of how would they pitch this if they're on a call with a prospect, right? Again, if it's prospect, if that's the purpose of the demo, how would you explain this to a customer if you want to call with a customer? And I find in those videos, you get pretty much 90% of what you need because they'll walk through the product. They'll give you real plain language kind of conversational messaging that they use. And that gives us what we need most times to write the storyboard. And so we always start with the storyboard step. We write out the storyboard, the steps in the interactive demo. We include the copy for it, what the call to action or the button would be on every step. And then we get approval on that part of the process. Then we move into the build. This is where we do the captures and we build them in Novatic. I always find having the storyboard built out first is much more effective than just jumping into the build, because I think the best demos are ones that you've thought about the messaging, you've thought about the story in the demo. And I find if you skip the storyboard step, you miss out on that. And so you end up going back and forth and trying to fix it after the fact. So big suggestion I'd always have is do the storyboard, get the story straight, and then you do the build. And then lastly, it's the rollout. So we talked a lot about this today. When you're building a demo center or one like single interactive demo, having the rollout. What are you saying to sales? How are you rolling it out to them? Are you including, like Tiffany, for example, she has a specific Notion page that she's created that kind of talks the sales team through how to use interactive demos. Like, what are you doing to roll this out? And starting to actually do it. So executing on putting it into the different distribution channels you've talked about. So having an actual launch, for lack of a better word, around your demos is another way to make sure they get out, get used, all that good stuff. So that's the process we go through to build them. So I'll hand it back to Tiffany. We'll talk about how you distribute your demos.
Yeah, so we've tried out a lot of different channels, mostly that are within Demand Gen's control. The first being our website. Luckily for us, we get a lot of traffic to Notion's website. And so far, we have been linking to our demos on like specific product pages where it makes sense. And some of them aren't linked on the website. And we have found that the ones that are linked on the website drive 3x more traffic than the ones that aren't. So we definitely want to capitalize on this more. And we're in the process of building the demo center with the DemoDash team now. And that's something that we definitely want like high traffic to. Another channel we've tested are LinkedIn lead gen ads. This is very useful because you want to get it in front of a very specific audience. And for us, it's like the product persona, the engineering teams. So we actually gate the demos on LinkedIn. They have to fill out this form, and then they're taken to the demo after they've filled out this form. And so we promote very specific demos and use cases to very specific audiences through these ads. Yeah, and this is like a great way to know exactly who has engaged with your demos. Sales is a huge channel for us. We have been dropping them into like outreach templates that we build for the sales team, specifically around launches. And there's kind of in their outbound sequences. We specifically had a day called Outbound Day where the sales team, they were calling and setting meetings all day. And this was right around one of our recent AI launches. And so we specifically linked to like our enterprise search interactive demo. The one on the left, it's like at the PS of like the G2, talking about our G2 rankings. And then, this other one was like the PS line of one of the first emails. But yeah, Ryan, you were talking about the GIFs, right? Yeah. Yes. So that was a good tip. So you can like share a GIF of the demos or in outreach sequences, and it increases your click-through rates. Yeah. So gotta try that. Oh no, sorry. Those work too, probably. Okay, so content assets, we produce a lot of our own like long form guides and PDFs. This is actually something we've now built in our own product called Notion Sites. So there's like public sites that you can build in Notion. This is specifically our G2 summer report. And at the bottom of all of our content assets, we have kind of CTAs for like next steps, contact sales being one of them. And then it just made sense to link to interactive demos here as well. If you're not ready to contact sales, you can take a product tour. And in this case, we were ranked like #1 in enterprise search category, so we linked to our enterprise search demo here. Nurture email is pretty self-explanatory, but yeah, we definitely try to plug these in where it makes sense as well. Again, making sure it's like relevant to what we're talking about in the emails. And then webinar follow-up. So for all of our webinar registrants attendees, they get a follow-up email that actually directs them to another Notion site, which is like a hub with additional resources that were relevant to the webinar topic. So we'll link to other assets, guides, et cetera, and then the interactive demo where it makes sense as well. And then one thing we've been testing is newsletters. So these are like paid placements, and this one's for Tech Brew, where we link to our Knowledge Hub interactive demo. We're still testing and learning here. We have found that for newsletters, more like thought leadership tends to do better. This didn't drive as many leads as we had hoped. So we're still trying to figure out like what is the best format and CTAs for newsletters. Yes, measurement. I know everyone needs to track how interactive demos are doing, and so walk you through what we do. I'm not saying like this is the best way to do it, but maybe we'll get some inspiration or discussions going around this. So I have a Notion project page all around our interactive demos, and on a monthly basis, I will pull kind of a recap of how it performed, our interactive demos performed for the past month. And it's a mix of both Nevadic data, so like unique engaged users. I'll break it down by how much traffic each of these demos specifically has gotten. I don't think you can see it, but like the second line here is our Knowledge Hub demo, which is linked on our website, and this is where we see like 3x the traffic compared to the other ones. And then yeah, these other lines are the other demos. They've launched more recently, so there's not as much data here. And then as you go down, it's more into our like pipeline and Salesforce data, and so you'll see we care a lot about like the number of accounts we've touched that are of a specific size, as well as like MQLs, and then we have something called like product qualified accounts we care a lot about. So we track like how many of those PQAs that have engaged with our demos as well. And then of course, pipeline is kind of like our North Star metric, and our marketing ops team built this amazing dashboard in Google Sheets actually. But we are tracking all of our leads from our demos, whether they came from the LinkedIn ads or like the newsletter, because that was gated as well. They all live in a Salesforce campaign. And then we are able to see how much pipeline we've touched based on the leads that are in this Salesforce campaign. So this is like the 6 months, or sorry, year to date. Our fiscal year starts in February. So this is like the numbers from our fiscal year to date. And so yeah, on the left here is kind of a summary of our results today. These are like the leading indicators that we've engaged almost 8,000 unique leads, over 2,000 accounts, driven like 400 scored MQLs. And then I think what we care about most is like we've touched over 5 million pipeline and influenced almost 500K in close one revenue. And I realized recently that we are far undercounting this because these are only the leads that we can track who have engaged with our demos. The people who go through our website or our nurture emails, like they're not necessarily tracked in Salesforce. So this is just like a slice of what we're actually influencing.